Well, our reporter Clovis Casali is at the National Assembly where he's been getting reaction from MPs to Macron's interview today. He joins me now. Clovis, what have you been hearing?
Well, first, it's interesting to notice that none of Emmanuel Macron's allies have come forward to see the press. Clearly, the sign that Macron's address to the nation needs to speak for itself. On the other hand, you've got the opposition voicing its anger loud and clear. They all say one thing. This address to the nation shows that Emmanuel Macron is disconnected from reality. That's what the opposition thinks. The far right calling him a king, not listening to the people, and the far left saying that Emmanuel Macron needs to listen more to protesters on the street. Earlier I spoke to one of the figures of the left-wing bloc NUP. She's called Raquel Garrido. Take a listen.
Emmanuel Macron is taking a major risk because his words are exasperating. I think the French have no other solution tomorrow to come massively to the streets to try to make him understand some sense of what's going on. I don't know. I think he's in that castle and no one actually gets to him. It's infuriating, it's exasperating, it's contrary to basic democratic standards.
So there you're hearing from a left-wing MP saying people should stay out in the streets. And Clovis, indeed, there are to be more protests tomorrow.
Indeed, Emmanuel Macron made it very clear in his address to the nation that he's not going to back down, that this pension reform is necessary, that the French government has been spending too much over the years, not producing enough. That's clearly not what protesters wanted to hear. Protesters want him to give up on his pension reform bill set to kick in before the end of the year. You heard the left wing calling for more and more people to take to the streets, and there are fears that these demonstrations could turn violent, more violent than in previous weeks. Take incidents in the last few days at night here in Paris, notably sporadic incidents, violence with police clashing with protesters. Well, there are fears at the government that these scenes could repeat themselves. There is this mass day of protests all across the country on Thursday. Hundreds of thousands of people expected to take to the streets. But Emmanuel Macron has made it very clear. He does accept these protests. He understands that people have the right to take to the streets, but violence is and won't be tolerated. That's what he repeated again in his address to the nation.
Clovis Casali, thanks very much indeed. We'll have, of course, plenty of coverage for you tomorrow of those protests you were just hearing about from Clovis Casali.